Okay, so welcome to part 2 of modeling and making an arc reactor in Blender. So in part 1, which you can find in the description below, I went through the modeling process of this arc reactor here, which looks really complicated and intricate, but really it's not. And I went through some really basic tips and tricks, especially using the array modifiers in like a circular array. And in this part, we're going to be focusing on making the materials for this guy over here. And you can see these are the procedural materials we're going to be making in Eevee. So this is going to be the final result, and let's get into it, and I hope you guys are able to enjoy it. Okay, so first of all, let's come over to our render properties here. We're going to make sure the render engine is set to Eevee. If you want to work in cycles, feel free. We're going to go and enable ambient occlusion, and we're also going to enable bloom this time. That's going to be very important for that nice glow effect, and come down to screen space reflections. Now, because we're working with a refractive material as well, under the screen space reflections, make sure to drop it down and just click on refraction as well here. So now that we have those enabled, we can go Shift A. Let's add in our first lights. I'm going to add in an area light. Go G and then Z, bring this light up here. And we're going to go to our light settings. So we're going to increase the size to 3. Then we're going to come to the power and make it 520. And then we're going to go into our front orthographic view by hitting 1 on the number pad. Go R to rotate this. G to move it over here, then Shift duplicate, move another one here, and then R rotate it this way. Go to your top view. You can grab both of these and just rotate them and try and find a lighting angle that you like. So I'm going to go into my camera view. I'm going to hit Z, just go rendered, and I'm going to go R, Z of those two lights selected, and just try rotating them around till I think I get something that I like. So this is up to you. I might go with something like that for now, should be fine. And also, to make this look really cool, you don't have to do this part, by the way, but I like to go to my world settings here, go to the color here, click on this little tab here, go to environment texture, and then I'm going to get a HDRI. Now, HDRI images are 100% free. You can get them at HDRI Haven, and you can download them. You don't even need an account. So go ahead, get one that you like, a HDRI. I'm not going to show you how to do that right now. Just go get one, and then wherever you've put it on your computer, just open it, find it. So I'm just going to get one that I've got. But you don't have to do this. It'll still be okay. But I just like the lighting of it. And I'm going to come to the strength. I'm going to make mine 0.3. Now, depending on your HDRI and your own personal preferences, you could do that a little bit differently. So don't worry too much if you're not familiar yet with HDRIs. So with that done, I'm going to hit Z, just go into rendered view, and just have a look to see what that's looking like. Okay, at the moment it looks quite bright because of the HDRI. So with mine, I might actually even just bump it down to 0.1 for now. So with that done, if you're happy with your lighting, we can get into the materials. And we already added all the placeholder materials in our first video, which is very useful. So I'm going to go to my shading workspace. Once again, just make sure in your camera view, hit Z, go into rendered view. Very important. And let's start with this ring in the middle, the chrome ring. So this one, we're simply just going to increase the metallic value all the way up to 1, and we're going to bring this roughness down a bit. Just something like that. We also want to add a little bit of texture to this. We're going to go Shift A, search. We're going to get a noise texture. I'm going to plug the color into the base color here. And you could use node wrangle, but since some of you might not have what did I do here? Okay, so just get rid of this. We need to get the noise texture, not the white noise, so just the noise texture. Plug the color into the base color here. And we're going to go Shift A, search, and just get the geometry node. And then we're going to go Shift A, search, and get a mapping node. So just type in mapping. Take the, what did I do here? Texture coordinate. I'm not making any sense. I just get a texture coordinate node, and once you've got your texture coordinate node, just plug the object into the vector up here on the mapping node, then plug this vector in here, and then just open this up a little bit, and we're going to come here to the scale, and we're going to make the scale here 25 on the X. And we can now see we have these kind of scratches here. You can also increase the scale here to 12, and that's looking pretty good. But I'm also going to go Shift A, search, and just get a color ramp node, and just place the color ramp node in there. And now we can see that it has a little bit of texture to it. Not 100% realistic, but it looks a lot better than just having it plain. So once we've done that, we're just gonna select all of these nodes here. Go Control C to copy them. So just Control C. We're gonna click on these guys here, or at least this ring here, whichever one has that material 001. And we're gonna come in here and we're gonna go Control V and just paste that. I guess for some reason it didn't copy, so just come back to this Chrome, select these guys, right click, copy, click on this. As long as you're in this Mat 001 material, we're gonna go Control V just to paste it. And then we're gonna plug the color into the base color here. And it's at this point we wanna drag this black value up a little bit more. So go into rendered view and you see what that looks like. Okay, so drag that up a little bit more, click on this white value here, just bring that value down here a little bit as well. So just so we have something that looks like this, I'm going to drag that metallic value up a little bit as well and just bring that roughness down a bit. So that looks a lot better. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to select the copper material and I'm going to right click here and I'm going to paste this in as well. And I'm going to plug the color into the base color here of the principled shader. And I'm going to increase the metallic value and bring the roughness down a bit. But this time I'm going to come here to this white slider, click on it, click on this color here. We're going to make it kind of like a coppery color. Bring this value down just a little bit. And this is up to you to determine what kind of copper you want. I'm making mine a little bit redder. Just like that, looks really good. And you can see that texture running across here, hopefully. So it should be working. Yeah, you can see it right over here. It just adds a little bit extra detail there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select the glass over here, or at least the glowing material. So select these little guys down here with the glow material. And with this one, we're going to get rid of the principled shader. We're going to go Shift A, search, and get an emission shader. Plug the emission shader into the surface here. But what we're going to do to add some texture and detail, we're going to go Shift A, search, just quickly get a noise texture. And also, once again, just add in a geometry and a mapping node, but I'm just going to go Control T because I have Node Wrangler enabled. But you guys, if you don't have Node Wrangler, you can enable it, or you can just manually search for these two and add them in again. I'm going to take the object, just plug it into the vector here, and I'm going to take the color and plug it into the color of the emission. I'm also going to go Shift A, search, just quickly grab a color ramp node, place it in here, drag this black value up, then select the white slider, drag it down a bit and give that a blue color. Then if you go into rendered view, you're going to be able to see this a lot better. So you can see here, you can now add kind of like a texture to it. We can come here to the strength and bump it up to 3. And instead of just having it like a plain color, which would have no detail to it, it's nice just to add this noise texture in here. Now what we're also going to do to save a bit of time is we're going to select this whole node setup here, these 4. We're going to right click, just go copy, click on the glass here, this glass component, and then right click and then paste it in here. And this time we're going to take the color here, plug it into the base color of the principled shader. But what we want to do is come down here to where we see the, where is it? The transmission. We want to drag this value all the way up to 1 on the transmission. And at the moment we're not seeing anything, so we have to actually come here to our material, the glass material, under the surface, come down over here, go all the way down to settings and enable screen space reflections, and also screen space refraction, and also this guy over here, just enable them. And we're going to come here, make the blend mode alpha blend, and make the bottom one alpha hashed. And now you can see we have this here, and you can mess around with this slider here. I'm going to bring the blue in a little bit more. Maybe make this a little bit lighter, a little bit blue. Totally up to you. And you can also mess around with the roughness here of this glass. Maybe I'll make it a little bit less rough, bring the roughness down. Yeah, so just make it whatever you want. Mess around with it a little bit. Just gonna go with something like that. Now the glass also has this texture to it, and it just looks a lot better. And what we can do now is just select our cable here, or our wire. Just simply make that one black and bring the roughness down on a little bit. And now we're simply going to select our floor here, that floor material that we created in part 1 and just edit it. So we're gonna just come here, make it a little bit darker. And we're also gonna just right click and just paste in this node setup here and just plug the color into the base color here if you want, and bring the scale down to 2. And then we can also just mess around with these guys here. So I'm gonna go something like this, maybe bring the scale down to 1 even, and make this blue here a little bit darker. So just something like this. And what I'm going to do is just gonna get rid of one of these lights over here. And I'm also just going to grab this glow material and really just bring up that strength quite a bit until I get something that I'm happy with. Might move this back a little bit. In fact, with my material, my world material here, I'm going to click on it, the environment texture, and I'm just going to make it 0.01, bring it down quite a lot, or 0.05. I want the scene to be quite dark. I'm going to select my light here, just bump this power up a little bit, and just trying to get something that I think looks good. I'm going to grab this floor here and just also give it a metallic value. So drag the metallic slider up a bit and bring the roughness down a bit. So yeah, this is where you can spend as much time as you want messing around with things. I'm going to select this glow material again, just bring up that strength till I think it looks cool. Might just grab this light here, shift duplicate, bring a light source from this side. Yeah, this is just a matter of kind of like getting something that you like. It's a lot of personal preference here. You bring this slider this side. Okay, that's looking good enough for now. So I'm going to go back to my layout. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Shift A. I'm going to add in another empty. I'm going to bring this empty just kind of to the front here, just in front of the camera as well. And I select my camera. I'm going to go to my camera settings, click on the depth of field, just drop this down, get the little eyedropper, and I'm going to select the empty here. And then I'm going to bring this value down to 0.5, the f-stop. So if we now go into our camera view, we hit Z and go rendered, we should have this nice depth of field here as well. And if it's too much, you can come over here, to select your camera, and just increase that f-stop amount. So we can see it's sharp here at the front, but just slightly out of focus there towards the back. And yeah, this is starting to look really cool, so I'm just going to go and just make sure to save it. And I'm going to give it a quick test render to see what it looks like. Okay, so here you can see this is the final render, and I think it looks pretty good for the amount of time we put into it. So you can spend a lot of time with adding better materials and textures, but I'm just trying to keep it basic, and I think this is pretty good, especially if you're new to Blender and you're able to make this. This would be something really nice that you could be proud of. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this 2-part tutorial, and if you make this, post it on Instagram, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'm going to be making this model available on Patreon as well, so you guys can check that out in the description below. And I also really do appreciate all the subscribers.